Hello everyone. I am Donna. Today I am here with another interesting story. What would you do if, overnight, everything you loved was taken away? Imagine receiving a message that means only one thing: death is coming. Not tomorrow. Not next week. Right now. For most people, that would be the end of the story. But for one woman, it was only the beginning. Today's story follows a young woman who starts with nothing, not money, not power, not protection. She is hunted, betrayed, and forced to flee across continents. Yet through intelligence, courage, and relentless determination, she rises to become one of the most feared and respected figures in the criminal underworld. This is the remarkable journey inspired by the Queen of the South. Before we begin, subscribe to the channel and let me know in the comments. Do you think power changes people, or does it simply reveal who they really are? Now dim the lights, get comfortable, and let's begin. Teresa Mendoza never dreamed of becoming powerful. She wasn't looking for wealth. She wasn't seeking fame. She simply wanted a normal life. Growing up in northern Mexico, life was difficult but manageable. Opportunities were scarce, and survival often depended on making difficult choices. Then she met a man involved in the drug trade. He was charming, confident, dangerous. The kind of person who seemed untouchable. Being with him brought excitement and security. For a while, life seemed better. But in the criminal world, peace never lasts. One day everything changed. A phone call arrived. A warning. A message that meant her boyfriend was dead. And if she wanted to stay alive, she needed to run. Immediately. No goodbyes. No explanations. No second chances. Teresa suddenly found herself alone, hunted by people she couldn't trust and enemies she couldn't even see. The world she knew vanished overnight. Fear is one of the strongest forces in human psychology. Most people freeze when confronted by danger. Others flee. Very few adapt. The fascinating thing about Teresa's story is that she doesn't begin as a hero. She begins as an ordinary person facing extraordinary circumstances. And that makes her journey relatable. Because anyone can imagine being afraid. The question is, what happens next? Teresa escapes Mexico and arrives in Spain. She is now a stranger in a foreign country. Different culture. Different language. Different rules. Yet danger remains close behind. At first she survives day by day. Finding shelter. Finding work. Trying not to attract attention. Trying not to become another forgotten victim. But survival teaches valuable lessons. Teresa watches people carefully. She observes how power works. Who gives orders? Who follows them? Who profits? And who pays the price? She realizes something important. Information is often more valuable than money. The people who understand the system control the system. Slowly, Teresa begins learning, listening, studying, preparing. Without realizing it, she is already changing. The frightened young woman who arrived in Spain is disappearing. Someone stronger is emerging. Imagine arriving in a completely different country with no support system. Could you rebuild your life from scratch? Comment below. What would be the first thing you'd do? The criminal world operates differently from normal society. Trust is rare. Loyalty is temporary. Power changes hands constantly. Teresa discovers that survival requires more than courage. It requires intelligence. She begins forming connections. Meeting people involved in smuggling operations. Learning routes. Learning logistics. Learning the hidden economy that most people never see. The more she learns, the more valuable she becomes. People start noticing her. Not because she's loud. Not because she's intimidating. Because she's smart. She understands problems before others do. She sees opportunities others miss. And she remembers everything. In dangerous environments, that skill becomes priceless. One successful decision leads to another. And another. And another. Slowly, her reputation grows. Many crime stories focus on violence. But the most powerful individuals often succeed through strategy. Teresa's greatest weapon isn't force. It's observation. History is filled with leaders who won not because they were strongest, but because they understood people better than anyone else. That lesson applies far beyond crime. Business, politics, leadership, all reward the ability to understand human behavior. Years pass. Experience accumulates. Confidence grows. Teresa is no longer merely surviving. She's building. Every operation teaches her something. Every failure becomes a lesson. Every success becomes a stepping stone. Her network expands. Her influence grows. Her enemies become more powerful. But so does she. People who once ignored her now seek her approval. People who once underestimated her now fear her. The transformation is extraordinary. The woman who arrived in Spain with nothing now controls operations stretching across vast distances. Money flows through her organization. Information flows through her organization. Power flows through her organization. And with power comes responsibility. Every decision affects countless lives. Every mistake can be fatal. The higher she climbs, the more dangerous the fall becomes. Yet she keeps climbing. Success has a price. Sometimes that price is money. Sometimes it's freedom. Sometimes it's peace of mind. For Teresa, the cost becomes increasingly personal. Trust becomes difficult. Friendships become complicated. Relationships become fragile. The more powerful she becomes, the fewer people she can truly rely on. This is one of the story's most compelling themes. Power solves many problems, but it creates new ones. The people around Teresa begin treating her differently. Some admire her. Some fear her. Some secretly hope to replace her. She learns that leadership can be lonely. Very lonely. At the top, there are fewer places to hide. And more people aiming at you. Many people dream of power. Few consider its consequences. Power attracts attention. Attention attracts competition. Competition attracts conflict. The very thing that makes someone successful can also make them vulnerable. Teresa discovers this reality repeatedly throughout her journey. Eventually, Teresa becomes more than a person. She becomes a legend. Stories spread. Rumors grow. People speak her name with admiration. Others speak it with fear. The title Queen of the South represents more than authority. It represents transformation. A woman once running for her life now commands respect from individuals who once would have ignored her existence. Her rise appears almost impossible. Yet it happened through countless small decisions. Small acts of courage. Small moments of resilience. Small choices repeated over and over again. That is how extraordinary journeys usually occur. Not through one giant leap, but through thousands of tiny steps. At its heart, this story isn't really about crime. It's about survival, adaptation, transformation. The ability to reinvent yourself when circumstances demand it. Teresa's journey raises fascinating questions. How much of our identity is shaped by our environment? How far would we go to survive? Can someone gain power without being changed by it? And perhaps the most important question: is success worth the sacrifices required to achieve it? The answers will be different for every person. But that's what makes stories like this unforgettable. They force us to confront difficult truths about ambition, fear, and human nature. If you enjoyed this storytelling journey, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share the video. And before you go, tell me in the comments: was Teresa a victim of circumstance, or the architect of her own destiny? Thank you for watching. And I'll see you in the next story.